a speaker again, you just go to M3, that's our research center, M3 YouTube, and you'll see them all there, the ones that we've recorded. We didn't do some earlier this semester, but we've been doing them the last few weeks. And you'll see on your screen, it says meeting is now streaming live on YouTube. Welcome all the YouTube watchers, if there are any out there. So group B, then we'll take any questions from YouTube, and then we'll continue with the rest of the class to ask questions. So Elliot, I would hope that you don't mind if I interrupt you at 10:25 in case you forgot that we need to take some questions at that time. But you can continue, but you can intersperse,
please
right?
interrupt.
Yeah, and so yes. Eliot Falcione, students and audience, was probably the first professional person I met when I got to Sarasota. Dr. Jihan Chobanalu introduced me to Elliot, and we hit it off, and Elliot and I have done so much together in the last 5 years. Elliot is on our board of advisors, and in fact, Elliot's pretty much our informal chair of our board. He's certainly our senior member, and he and John Horn will be speaking next week from Anna Maria Oyster Bar. But they're really the leaders for us, which is so important. We really work in tandem. The good news is when I go with Elliot, I know I'm going to have a good time too. He took me to Pittsburgh with him. We've wandered around a little bit. It's all wonderful. But Elliot is Mr. Bradenton, Mr. Manatee Tourism and the Convention Center, as you all read. So he has a lot to talk about. And so Elliot, I will welcome you back always to your other home at USF School of Hospitality and Tourism Management. Welcome, Elliot.
Thank you, Dr. Pat. It's great to see everybody. I have to be honest with you all. I despise this kind of environment. I hate it. Hate the Zoom, hate conference calls. I love to be in the same room with people to build relationships. It enhances communication really, really well. And where I get concerned with students is please don't get too comfortable with technology. Use it, that helps you optimize what you're going to do in life, but don't go so far that it takes away your interpersonal relationships with the people that you're trying to build a relationship with. If Dr. Pat and I did nothing but conference calls and texts, and we never sat in the same room, we would have a relationship, but it would be nowhere it is today. So important. Pick up the phone more than you do emails. Really important. What I'm going to do is just kind of give you what I call a destination marketing organization 101. Give you an idea how you promote a destination for tourism. Also keep in mind that I've been in this current position for, I start my 12th year in this position in July. And when I was appointed, I had no knowledge of how to do this job. So believe in yourself. And I am proof that somebody who isn't the sharpest knife in the drawer, that's a good communicator and is smart enough to hire really intelligent people around him, can learn the job quickly and have success with it. So don't let any job intimidate you. What I'm in is what I call the common sense business. A little bit of research, and what I do is very artistic. So with that, let's go ahead and get into the PowerPoint. I'm going to keep good momentum as we go to try to keep y'all's attention span. And my goal through this PowerPoint is if you can grasp one or two things and you take it away and you apply it future in life, then I've done my job. And we'll have fun, open it up for questions after my PowerPoint. So I'm going to get into this right now. Let's see here. There we go. Dr. Pat, am I at full screen here?
No. So if you wanted to do that, Elliot, what you would do is go up and click on the upper left-hand side of the PowerPoint where it says from the beginning. No, down, over left, your other left there. Now click on that screen. Click on that blue arrow. There you go.
Beautiful. See that? You guys can tell how much I love technology. Okay, that first page, what you're looking at is some of our brand elements. We're going to get into that a little bit later in the PowerPoint, but I'll just give you a little bit of a tidbit. We are an export business, and our goal is to make sure the marketplace understands what we're selling. And if I put a visual or a logo or brand elements in front of a consumer in the marketplace, you ready for this? I have 3 seconds for them to understand it well enough to dig in further. And if they don't understand what I'm putting in front in 3 seconds, I may lose them forever. Really, really important. Brand is a major first step. Believe it or not, I work for the government. I don't go around talking about that too much because there's a stereotype with government employees that it's bureaucratic and slow and just doesn't get work done as well as the private sector. But we work for a pretty good government, and we're trained to work in a manner like an entrepreneur, streamline processes, stay away from bureaucracy, take risk, and don't be afraid of failure. I'm one of 12 departments in Manatee County. Notice what I just did there. I just showed you, look at the bottom right down here, Bradenton, Anna Maria Island, Longboat Key. That's our logo, but it doesn't say anything about Manatee County or Manatee County government. Why is that? Manatee County or government doesn't resonate geographically in the marketplace. Okay, if I told you I'm going to Pima County for vacation after this, y'all may not know that that's Tucson, Arizona. So I'm sure not going to promote Tucson, Arizona as Pima County. I'm funded, my salary, the employees' salaries, our marketing and promotions. We wear an array of hats, sports department, film department, we manage facilities. So we levy what's called a bed tax. If you stay in a short-term rental, 6 months or less, they are required, the owners of those short-term rentals are required to levy a tourism tax. So you would have a bill of, say, $100 a night, and then you would pay 7% sales tax and then 5% tourism tax. That 5% tourism tax is collected. That equaled about just under $16 million in 2019. And it's used for an array of things that we'll get into a little bit later. When you levy a bed tax, your county, you are required by law to have a tourist development council. And what they do, just like it says, they're advisors to the board of county commissioners. So I go to known as the TDC and say, look, I suggest we do this or that, buy this or that, invest in this or that. And they say, yeah, we're going to recommend for you to do that to the county commissioners, or we're not going to recommend that. The interesting thing is if the TDC does not recommend an initiative that I'm interested in doing, the county commissioners can overturn their recommendation. The TDC can say, commissioners, we don't think you should do that. And when I sent it to the TDC, they said, we're going to do that, or vice versa. So once again, it's just an advisory board required by law. There's the breakdown. Really good thought that the state had, where the advisors should be really part of the industry, the hospitality industry. So Misty Servia is a county commissioner. We're required to have one county commissioner on the TDC act as the chairperson. And then there's 2 seats that are required to have elected officials. That's Mayor Gene Brown, Mayor Shirley Bryant of Palmetto. Mayor Gene Brown's the mayor of Bradenton. And then you have interested citizens. They must live in Manatee County, do not have to be in the hospitality industry. And that's Jack Reinerson and Vernon Desir. And then there are your hoteliers, you must be a general manager or an owner of a short-term rental, nothing less, to be eligible to apply to be on the advisory board. As I mentioned before, we wear more hats than any other convention and visitors bureau in the state of Florida. We do more than just promote and market the destination. Where I'm sitting is the Bradenton Area Convention Center. We manage the day-to-day operations of that facility. The Powell Crosley Estate, for those of you who go to class at USF Sarasota Manatee, the Powell Crosley Estate sits right on the west side on the bay, facilitates about 160 events a year. Premier Sports Campus in Lakewood Ranch, it's a 147-acre, 23 contiguous sports fields in East County. I'll tell you this, it's so important to the sustainability of tourism. I just toured around youth soccer officials on Monday, trying to woo them to bring their youth national championship event at Premier Sports Campus this July, because Phoenix can't host it because of COVID restrictions. If we pull that off, and I think we will, that'll bring 6,000 people to the Bradenton area in 1 week in July, time that we need a push of tourism. We are the film division and the sports division. So the sports division, we do sponsor other types of sports tournaments, whether it's IMG Academy, Pittsburgh Pirates, Parks and Natural Resources, etc. The film division is we really facilitate permits for film, for photo shoots, etc. We partner with Feld Entertainment, the largest outdoor entertainment company in the world. And Feld is based, their headquarters, literally 1/2 mile from our convention center. And then about 3 years ago, we took on the Arts and Cultural Alliance division, which is really important to communicate with them and understand what they do in our community is another characteristic that we can put in the marketplace to woo visitors to the area. Okay, very dynamic. There's with humility, most convention and visitors bureaus around the state only market and promote the destination for leisure tourism, and not much of this. So it's a lot of fun. My day changes every day. There's our convention center entrance. We are on the cusp of a 252-room hotel being built on the north side of our convention center, a Sheraton, $70 million project that'll actually help us bring in more conventions to the area. There is the beautiful 1929 Mediterranean revival style architecture Powell Crosley Estate, right on Sarasota Bay on the west side of the USF campus. Premier Sports Campus, that's our stadium. So that is one of 23 sports fields in East County. And then we also partner with Film Florida, based out of Tallahassee, and then our sports, which is really important there. Okay, how are the monies divvied up? So I said we collected just under $16 million worth of taxes. What do we do with it? First of all, the money is restricted for certain uses. So the government can't use it for anything they want. It was created in the early 80s to help promote tourism for the state of Florida. And if each county wanted to levy a tax, for the first time, it would have to go out for a referendum. And then beyond that, to increase the tax, the Board of County Commissioners would have to supermajority approve it. However, we are maxed out on how much tax we can levy for this size county. So 5 pennies on the dollar is the max allowable via the Florida statute. Okay, so how is it divvied up? Well, we got to pay the tax collector a commission for collecting it, because I'm sure not going around receiving checks from short-term rentals for the tax they collected. So you register with the tax collector if you have a short-term rental, and then you submit your tax on a monthly basis. 1 penny out of the 5 pennies is earmarked specifically for beach renourishment, erosion control. So when y'all go out to those beautiful sugar white sand beaches, whether it's Anna Maria Island Longboat Key, Lido, Siesta Key. A lot of money is allocated to keep those beaches pristine. You know, you all have seen it. If a hurricane comes through and sits on your coastline, it could quickly erode a lot of shoreline. And if that happens, then you normally get FEMA dollars to help renourish the beaches. The last renourishment we did last fall cost $18 million. Bradenton Area Convention Center, you can build convention centers with tourism dollars. You can subsidize it. You can renovate it. So 5.1% of the 15.5 million comes out of goes to the convention center. We do have a relationship with the city of Bradenton to keep the Pittsburgh Pirates training here. They are one of two teams that have trained the longest in the same city, Lakeland being number 2, the Tigers. The Pirates are in their 53rd year here in the city of Bradenton. We give the city of Bradenton to pay for debt service for Lecom Park at about $450,000 a year. You can see you can put money, tourism money into museums. Obviously, the administration, there you go, 12.4%. So if you're a taxpayer of Manatee County and you see Elliott goofing off in the community, you could say stop goofing off, but your taxpayers' dollars aren't being used to fund my salary, staff salary, etc. Our payroll annually for our 24 employees and our third-party vendors that help support us is right around 1.2 million a year. We have visitor centers, and then you can see the big chunk, the almost half of that money goes to marketing, advertising in feeder markets. We'll get into that a little bit later as well. If we wanted to put money into high school education, police powers, roads, buses, that would not be an eligible use for tourism tax proceeds. Okay, let's just talk about a little bit why tourism is important. If you grew up in Florida, your parents or you may have said, gosh, you know, the season's coming, all these snowbirds are coming in, they're going to create traffic, I'm going to have to wait longer in restaurants, you know, and we get selfish that we kind of want the community to ourselves. But without tourism, Florida economy would struggle, businesses would open and close, and real estate would never appreciate. So to give you an example, hospitality employees in just Manatee County is almost 28,000. Sarasota County's 40,000. That's why the USF School of Hospitality is vital to our future. Vital. Tourism creates 1.3 billion in economic impact for Manatee County alone. And look at the sales tax generation that it also contributes to. Remember what I said, you pay your hotel bill, not only are you paying a tourism tax, you're paying a sales tax. The sales tax could be used for police powers, parks and natural resources, education, roads, sewage and water. Tourism enhances the quality of life for the residents that live here. Okay, let's break down our diversity. We are probably one of the most diverse counties in the state of Florida, where we can sustain visitation pretty much on a year-round basis. You can see the leisure visitor is our most important segment. Sports is right around, it's grown to about 15%. I think in probably 5 years, it'll peak out to about 20%, no more than that. You can only put so much sand in a bucket. So right now we're probably putting about 6 pounds of sand in a 10-pound bucket for sports. And then the corporate group, see how low that is? That's why the convention center, hotel, and the future convention center expansion is really going to enhance that segment. That'll bring in executives in non-peak leisure seasons that'll help us sustain visitation on a year-round basis. You look at destinations like the Panhandle, beautiful beaches, but they don't have the characteristics like sports, like a convention center to sustain during off season. So they'll see a lot of peak and low, ebb and flow fluctuations that we're blessed to not have. Some of the niche markets, arts and culture, ecotourism. We have some of the most pristine ecological parks in the state of Florida. Culinary is really, really popular because you don't see many chain restaurants on the islands. You can go out to Anna Maria, you won't find a Chili's, you won't find an Applebee's. You'll find independent restaurant owners with iconic chefs that really appeal to the high-end visitor that we woo. And then, of course, agritourism. We're a destination that you can go from Anna Maria Island to iconic dairy farms, fruit farms, wineries within 30 minutes. And that's a great niche market to promote, especially on a rainy day, or if I say the visitor gets premature sunburn and needs to get out of the sun for a day, there's plenty to do. And there's Village of the Arts. This is a residential community adjacent to Lecom Park where the Pirates train. It was really a neighborhood of old crack houses. And yes, I mean, a lot of drug dealing that went on there. And the city put an overlay over that community where you can live and work in your house. Hence the creation of Village of the Arts, where artists actually bought the home, lived upstairs, and their first floor is their storefront. And it's worked out really, really well, and it continues to grow. Okay, there's a shot of our eco park, of course, culinary. Dakin Dairy is something to see out in Mayaca City. It's more than just watching how cows are milked. They are like robots where they know exactly what to do. The technology is second to none. They're also producing cheese out of Dakin Dairy at this point as well. There's our sports segment. Like I said, it's about 15% of the of our business. And you know, it's interesting. I call a sports tournament an economic stimulus familiarization tour. And you should say, wait, what did you just call it? Economic stimulus familiarization tour. Well, it's real simple. I go after a sports tournament, and let's just say 5,000 kids are coming in for that tournament. Who needs to come with them? In most cases, the parents, right? So the parents have to come to Johnny's tournament. The parents have never been to the Bradenton area, but they're forced to come to see Johnny's soccer tournament. Once we get them in here, we're familiarizing them with the destination. We're saying when Johnny's not playing soccer, take a trip out to Anna Maria Island, a 7-mile island. It's Florida like it once was 20, 30 years ago with modern day accommodations. 7 miles of sugar white sand beaches, low rise, low key. And once we get them out there, the wife usually says, oh my gosh, we need to come back for vacation. Okay. The economic stimulus is while we're familiarizing the parents, guess what's happening? New dollars are flowing in because of the tournament. Doesn't get any better than that. Okay. And there is the details of the economic stimulus familiarization tour. Another tidbit that's really interesting about the Bradenton area, and this is third-party research, first-time visitors return 94% of the time within 12 months. It's incredible. Once again, the parents that are coming in, if I can get them here, I'm going to get them back within a year 94% of the time. Who do we target? First-time visitors. Okay. The sports segment also supplements tourism in non-peak seasons. We really aren't aggressive going after tourism right now, the months of February, March. After Easter and through December is where we augment visitation through sports sponsorships. If we try to go after sports sponsorships in February and March, we're putting 10 pounds of sand in a 5-pound bucket. It really is not a good allocation of money. It is going to create marketplace impressions. You can see we did 280 events in 2019. That's 108 overnight visitors. at a direct spend of 188 million. So think about it, 1.3 billion in overall tourism economic impact. Out of that, we're probably going to be about 200 million this year. 108,000 overnight visitors. We normally get about 800,000 in our total tourist visitation in short-term rentals per year. Some of our other venues that I'm just totally blessed to be able to help promote: IMG Academy. Of course, we manage Premier Sports Campus. Pirate City is the Pirates use. It's just 5 minutes east of Lecon Park, one of the best training venues in the state of Florida. And then Nathan Benderson Park, the iconic rowing dragon boat venue just south of University Parkway. And there's IMG Academy, 550-acre sports performance facility, #1 sports performance venue in the world. They have a boarding school that hosts 1,300 athletes around the world at the tune of about $85,000 a year tuition. Unbelievable, beautiful shot. Little tidbit, Lecon Park, formerly known as McKechnie Field, is the oldest spring training ballpark in the state of Florida. And I call it the Wrigley Field of Florida because it was the last ballpark to get lights to play night games. And that was about 15 years ago. Not a bad shot of the IMG Academy from afar. Okay. And there's a little bit of breakdown of Premier Sports Campus. Diversity, I can't stress enough. If you buy and own a business at some point in your life, diversify, diversify, diversify. Very important. That'll get you through adversarial occurrences. But then at the same time, be careful based on your structure. Don't diversify to the point where you're trying to be everything to everybody, because quite candidly, you could potentially start half-assing things. So with Sports Premier, we could easily just go after soccer business and lacrosse, but now we're doing flag football. We're doing Frisbee. We're probably going to do cornhole out there. We're doing Australian football out there. So very, very diverse to continue an influx of business at that beautiful complex. Here's just a little 30,000 foot view. Look at the logo on the left. And that was what I inherited 13 years ago. Now put yourself in a consumer's mind place. Let's picture yourself on a plane and you open up a publication and I have an ad and you see that logo. Do you think you can figure out where we are in 3 seconds or less? I call that brand schizophrenia. It's crazy. So if you've never been to Florida, Anna Maria Island, you know it's an island. Longboat Key, you know it's a key. Okay, where is it? Well, now it says Florida, so I know Anna Maria Island and Longboat Key is in Florida. Gulf Islands, so now I know it's somewhere along the Gulf of Mexico. And then is Bradenton and Lakewood Ranch an island? It just said Florida's Gulf Islands, Bradenton and Lakewood Ranch. It's like, wow, crazy. But I looked at that as an incredible opportunity. Okay. Now, the one to the right was actually designed by the marketplace. Bradenton, Anna Maria Island, and then we normally put below that Florida's West Coast. Okay. Why is Bradenton first? It resonated geographically better than any other name in our community. Better than Manatee County, better than Lakewood Ranch, better than Parish, Palmetto. So that's why we're known as the Bradenton area. Florida's West Coast is a lot better than Florida's Gulf Coast. Why is that? You know that Panama City, Pensacola, Destin, Fort Walton is not Florida's West Coast. That's the Florida's Gulf Coast. So if we say West Coast, that's pretty much Clearwater to Naples. So geographically, we zeroed in by calling us the Florida's West Coast. Really, really simple. Do not create a brand if you're putting your brand in the marketplace to prospective consumers without talking to your prospective consumers. So we launched, here's 22, can you see my cursor, Pat?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So 2006, we had a real estate crash, right? And then we launched our destination brand in 09. Look what happened, folks. Look at the growth that we saw in occupancy rate once the brand started resonating, 13.5%. Why did the occupancy rate come down here a little bit in 2017, 2018, 29? When you know that you have a market to add more hotels, you have to have an average of about 73, 74% occupancy rate. So this was one of the triggers to say the region needs more hotel product. And then right here, 3,500 rooms were added in the region. But I'll tell you what, we sustained it pretty good by adding all those rooms in the Sarasota Bradenton area. And now look, it start coming up again.
Elliot, could I interrupt for just 1 minute, the teachable moment here? So for those of you who are the hospitality majors, if you recall in your lodging management course and in your finance courses, with revenue management, remember the difference between occupancy and total room nights sold. Those are two different things. And what Elliot is talking about is occupancy can come down over here, but total room nights sold is going up. And that's because occupancy percentage is based on the number of rooms available for sale. So,
and look at even here, average daily rate. Now, once again, real estate crash, brand launch. Now we know who we're targeting. Look at the growth in the average daily rate. Okay, and look, we sustained it by adding 3,500 additional rooms. Pat, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That is incredible. Look at that 30% increase. Okay, we knew who we were targeting. We realized that we're not trying to sell a Hyundai. We're selling a Mercedes. Therefore, we need to target somebody that can afford a Mercedes. So with that, we went, let me see if I can find it. We went from a 90,000 visitor household income to 121,000 because we're targeting somebody that wants the characteristics that we have and has the affordability based on what we're selling. Therefore, that the industry can maintain their average daily rates. It's incredible. It's so fulfilling. Look at the tax collections. Crash, brand launch. Look how we were flat. I can take you back to 2001 and it's all flat. All of a sudden, brand launch. Look at this, 208%. Oh, that gets my blood flowing. Okay, we already went over the household income. Okay, now the airport. Sarasota Bradenton International Airport. This is another fulfilling thing where we figured out how to incentivize airlines to come and run nonstop flights in and out of SRQ right across the street from USF Sarasota Manatee. And now in 2019, we were the fastest growing airport in the United States. Of course, 2020 was a lost year. And now in 2021, we're back to the fastest growing airline in the United States. Okay. Let me just, we're doing good, Pat, but I always like to share a few tidbits. Really important. Let me just see if I can get out of here. One moment, please. Dang, Pat, are you proud of me?
You did well, Elliot.
Yeah. Okay, really important. If you saw me in the classroom, I can get a little charismatic, as Dr. Pat knows, because I like what I do. I didn't say love because I'm subjected to a lot of government process. Okay, and the government's good to me. The cities we get along with really, really well. But when you're tied to a government process, it keeps you in a lower tier that you really want to be in. But I've learned how to meander through it and streamline it to limit bureaucracy. I'll give you a quick example. We had, y'all raise your hand, World Golf Championship. It came to the concession in February. Okay. It was on Golf Channel and NBC Sports. We got that event got us in front of 188 million people around the globe. Okay. It cost us, I put $250,000 in it. My marketplace impressions, if I bought those impressions, would have cost me $20 million. Okay. How do I know that? There's software, public relations software, when you plug in keywords, Bradenton area, concession, it captures that globally, and it calculated a $20 million buy if I would have went and bought that brand awareness on my own. It basically fell out of the sky into my lap 46 days prior to the World Golf Championships. Now, 46 days, I wasn't expecting it. I was asked to sponsor it by the PGA. So I committed $250,000 before I got county commission approval. I said, yeah, we're in, $250,000. Okay. And I got the approval by the commissioners 2 days before World Golf Championships. Okay. How did I do that? It's all about communicating. It's about telling the commissioners, getting out in front well in advance of this opportunity to say, hey, look, I know that I have a process that I need to follow. But from time to time, there's going to be a train coming down the road that I believe we need to jump on for the greater good of the community. And there's going to be from time to time that I'm not going to have time to get approval in advance of my commitment. So you got to trust me. And if you trust me, I acknowledge that I'm held responsible for the success and failures of what I've committed to. And they agreed. It went to the board, what's called on consent, and they approved it with no questions asked. So it doesn't get any better than that. Do I take advantage of that? Absolutely not. But if I didn't communicate that to especially new commissioners, they could have been calling me, pulled it, questioned it, and then the media jumps on it and it goes from a positive to something that's controversial. Okay. So really important that you need to understand the world that you're working in and how you work through and utilize your resources and optimize it so you can have the most success. Okay. Look at where you're at today in life, whether you're a junior or a senior, and what you're doing day in and day out, where you think that you're going in the future. I could tell you this, look what happened in Colorado 2 days ago. Okay. Can you imagine all of us just run into Publix and all of a sudden something happens and you're either dead, I'm either dead, or people around you die. And it's just, you never expected it. Okay. Don't take one day and be lazy, and apply yourself every day of the life that you have. Okay. You have God-given ability that you need to apply. Dr. Pat and I could tell you, we've seen so many people in society that never applied their God-given ability. And that's a shame. Okay. Take advantage of it right now. Say to yourself, what am I doing every day that I shouldn't be doing? Now, I'm a believer in life balance. I'm not saying bust ass every day, and burn yourself out. Life balance. Take some time to be with your family. Engage, work hard when you're doing your classes. Look down the road at what you want to do. Monitor how much social media that you're doing. I have a daughter that will put her picture up on Instagram and she'll tell me how many people like it. That's a problem. Okay. She's looking for people to acknowledge her look through technology. That is a problem. Okay. I always say, take a week and be true to yourself and keep track of how much social media you engage in a week. It may open up your eyes and say, wow, I can't believe I've spent 30 hours on social media in 1 week where I could have done this, and that. Okay. Now, social media, Dr. Jihan Chobanuga will say, hey, social media is important. It is, but it's balance. Very, very important balance. If I took one of your arm, I'm left-handed. If I took my left arm, if you're left-handed, one of your arms away today, how would you handle it tomorrow? You'd struggle for a while, right? We're all blessed with two arms and phalanges and all that, right? Take advantage of it. Okay, utilize it. Okay, utilize your brain every day. Your brain is like a muscle. You're training it every day, whether you know it or not. If you dress sloppy, you're probably going to dress sloppy in the future. Okay, we actually had a USF student come in for an interview a few months ago, and that person had sunglasses on their head the entire time of the interview. And you ready for this? Came in with flip-flops on. Okay. And I know Dr. Batt's program teaches students how to go through the interview process. I think that student probably has the glasses and the flip-flops every day he or she goes to school. Okay. Train yourself. I came out of Major League Baseball, and I'm winding down, Pat. I came out of Major League Baseball, and now I'm in my 28th year of my career here. Y'all may laugh. When I go to a baseball game, you will never, ever catch me wearing shorts, drinking a beer, wearing a t-shirt at a ball game. Now you'll say, for what? I never know who I may see where I want to look and act appropriately, because I don't want to miss an opportunity. Okay. Big brother's out there, right? Do you know if you apply for a job, that employer's trying to dig through your social media? Imagine, hey, I'm at a party with Sally, tonight, and woohoo, and, and chugging beer and all that. They're looking at that, folks. Okay. Be cognizant of that. Separate yourself from your classmates that I'm looking at. If I had one job that y'all wanted, you'll be well educated. You'll have limited work experience. But how do you separate yourself? If I had one job, separate from you all. A lot of it's personality traits. It's how you dress. It's your passion. Okay. Find something that gets your blood flowing. And if you think about all that, I know in my heart you'll be really, really successful. And I'll close at this. Pat said, Elliot and I have fun. You got to laugh. You got to smile. I had to tell that to the commissioners about 3 years ago, because Elliot will joke a little bit at a government public meeting. And I finally said to myself, I think I need to tell them why I kind of joke around in a very serious meeting. And I said, look, folks, when I come here, there's angst in the room. You guys have a tough job. And if good old Elliot can come and smile and make you laugh, it gets the blood flowing. It sends oxygen to the brain that calms you down. It minimizes anxiety, and it helps your creativity. So now you're relaxed and you can make a responsible decision. Okay. New oxygen to the brain, I promise you, will enhance creativity. Okay. When you pick up the phone, smile. They know it on the other side of the phone, right, Pat? Pat knows. I guarantee Pat knows if I'm smiling on the phone, he'll know it.
Yeah.
Because he can hear it from me.
And vice versa.
Yeah. So what that whole PowerPoint that I showed you, the most important thing that I can teach you is what I just told you in the last 5 minutes. With that, Dr. Pat, I'm here for questions.
Okay, I just want to make a couple of comments, and thank you, Elliot, for those insights. I can't pass this up, and I have questions too, but I want the students to go first. But the one comment I want to make is really one as a faculty member, as a manager when I had my hotels and food service operations, and really across the board as a student. Focus. And Elliot, I don't know that you use that word exactly, but that's really what you were talking about in many ways. When you do something, whether it's a homework assignment, whether it's a budget, whether it's some of this, like Elliot and I both have to deal with some of this inane report writing that comes with working for government agencies. So he's the county and the state. I'm the university and the state. But you can get everything done faster if you focus. If you're trying to do other things while you're particularly on something like a budget, let's say, you've got to focus. And you know what? By focusing and spending the time on focusing, you will get it done a lot faster. You'll get it done a lot better. And then you can look at the big picture. But focus on the task, focus on yourself. So it's an important skill to learn, to focus. That doesn't mean you can't listen to music while you're doing it or something like that. But it does mean that you're gonna hang with that until you finish it, and it's gonna go a lot faster if you do. So just an insight I thought of as you were speaking, Elliot.
Well, you're right, Pat. And you got to set weekly objectives. You really do. If you're not setting weekly objectives, you're losing an incredible opportunity. So set those objectives, focus on those objectives, and focus on humility in your daily walk, and stay unselfish. When you're doing something for people, they'll know it. You don't need to, like my daughter, showcase it on Instagram. She'd kill me if she knew I was talking about her. But and Dr. Pat knows it. She's got potential of incredible personality traits, but she's 19 years old. So we got to get into her brain now, because when you get to mine and Dr. Pat's age, it's hard to change.
Now, can you admit his daughter's applying to come into this program? She's just finishing her associate's degree and going to transfer. Can you imagine? So she already said to Elliot, so does this mean you're going to be addressing a class that I'm in? And we said, yeah, it is.
That's the day she'll take that free day off. So let's open it up for questions.
Open it up. So we're going to start with Group B. Okay, go ahead, Rachel.
Hi, Elliot. So I have a question because I did some research about basically how you guys partner with Sarasota sometimes. So how do you guys create these successful partnerships, and what are some of the occasions that you guys will do this?
Yeah, it's a great question. And sometimes it's tough because our brands compete in the marketplace from time to time. I think the most important partnership that works between us as Sarasota is the sports segment, because we need each other's hotel rooms to be able to leverage in the youth national soccer championships. Without Sarasota's hotels, we couldn't have bid on it. So we called them. We said, look, we want to bid on an event. We need some of your bed stock. We're putting X amount of dollars in. Can you put X amount of dollars in and combine both, put a regional RFP in? So that's partnership number one that's viable. The drive market leisure, no partnership there, because if you live in Orlando and you're saying, honey, let's just go to the beach for a 4-day weekend, you're probably saying, should we go to Anna Maria Island or should we go to Siesta Key? You're not going to go both. So our brands stay separate from that standpoint. The other viable partnership is at the airport, where Sarasota and Bradenton area CVBs give marketing incentive dollars to say, Southwest, if you start a Baltimore nonstop to SRQ, we'll give you $50,000 a year of marketing dollars to promote that flight for a couple years. And it works really, really well. Our other partnership is with Visit Tampa. Think about it. Characteristics are different. That's a meeting city. So they have the major attractions, the meeting cities, meeting facilities. We have the beaches. So we partner with them just as much as we partner with Visit Sarasota, but totally different partnerships.
Okay. Good. Thank you, Elliot. That's great. Thank you, Rachel. Okay, another person from Group B. Okay, go ahead, Travis.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
My question was, how far is your reach, like international, or where do you see the most foreign response from?
Okay, drive market, number one feeder market is Orlando. Makes sense. It's 90 miles away. Of course, Tampa is our number one feeder market. In the domestic US, #1 feeder market is the state of New York, particularly Manhattan, Long Island. Internationally, we have a third-party office in London since 2004. That is our #1 international feeder market, the United Kingdom. 45,000 Brits come to the Bradenton area a year. Our second top international market is, we call it Central Europe, all German-speaking countries, particularly Germany would be #2. We have an office in Frankfurt. About 40,000 Germans come to the Bradenton area. Travis, the advantage of being able to appeal to the Brits and the Germans, bring us leisure visitors from August the 1st to January 15th. And that's where the domestic visitation normally cools off a bit. So once again, it's that sustainability. The Brit spends more money per day and stays longer than any other visitor that we woo. Okay.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, Ellie. I actually forgot that New York State, Ellie. For some reason, I was thinking the North Central Chicago was the bigger feeder. But
well, good question. That's a good thought. That's the #2 top feeder market. Boston is going to be in the top 8. Philadelphia is going to be. Washington, Baltimore. Pittsburgh's around top 5 year round now. And our fastest growing market is Dallas, Fort Worth, and now Houston, because Southwest and United just started nonstop flights from Houston Hobby and Bush. Diversification. So if the weather's really bad in the Northeast, we have an influx of visitation coming in from the Midwest or state like Texas.
That's great. And speaking of Southwest, I will just like to toot your horn for a second, Elliot, but he's been working on this for years to get Southwest to come back, to come here. And gosh, it just, now that COVID is winding down, I am just amazed. I live just not 2 miles from the airport. So I take that back road behind the airport sometimes, and just to see the Southwest planes on the tarmac over there, just astounding. So I thank you every time I see it, Elliot.
I'll tell you what, COVID is bad, but it did create some opportunities like World Golf Championship. We wouldn't have Southwest right now if it wasn't for COVID. They have fixed expenses and they had planes on the ground. So they needed to get their planes in the air to get their revenues going to match up at least against their fixed expenses. The good news, to be able to spend a day and a half with the VP of marketing for a major airline is unheard of. But he came in and we hit it off, and he gave me the confidence that beyond COVID, they're going to stay at SRQ. So you're going to continue to see additional flights added with Southwest.
That's great. Another question from Group B. Anybody? Go ahead, Juan.
Yeah. So my question was, you said that the Powell Crosley did about 160, you said, events a year. Did it change in 2020?
Yeah, we had about a 3-month lull, March, April, May. I'm sorry, 4-month, June. And then, believe it or not, we were asked by the government to create the guidelines to reopen the government and adhere to CDC guidelines that really helped us reopen the convention center, Powell Crosley Estate and Premier. So we've been doing weddings down there since mid-July. Now our revenues were down, but at least we had some revenues coming in to cover our expenses. And we were the first county in the state of Florida to do a major sports tournament on Labor Day, the Labor Day tournament. Other counties were calling us saying, how did you guys pull that off? Well, we had the partnership with the organizer, and we knew how to create the guidelines to keep the athletes safe. And those destination weddings feed the hospitality industry, hotels, caterers, rental companies, florists, really, really important.
Great, thank you. And we have Mason who has joined us, I see. It's in Group B, Mason. And also, Tyler, you haven't.
Yeah. I guess with all the people moving into the Bradenton area, what kind of changes do you see that, like, coming out of that?
from a populate, we are growing at about 7% in population a year. As you all have watched the news, a lot of New Yorkers are getting the heck out of New York and moving to Florida. So our Economic Development Council's been busy trying to incentivize businesses coming down here. Where you're going to see with the population growth is two main areas. The urban core, basically from USF Sarasota Manatee all the way to where I'm at in Palmetto. So there's a lot of incentives there where you're going to see more apartments and condos go up. We're trying to create more of a dense community in the urban core that appeals to millennials. Millennials don't want to own a car. They want to walk around. They want bike trails, running trails. So, and it's going to take probably about 10, 12 years to create that environment. I think the best prototype is St. Petersburg, downtown St. Petersburg. Millennials are living there and actually coming across the Skyway Bridge every day. And then the other area of growth is Lakewood Ranch. It's a 35,000 acre master plan development that's only 45% built out. So when Lakewood Ranch is totally built out, probably 20 years from now, it'll be bigger than Palmetto, Bradenton, Sarasota, and Venice combined. Where I live in Lakewood Ranch will be the center of Manatee County in probably 20 years.
Thank you, Elliot. Mason, do you have a question?
Yeah, so my question is, after the pandemic, we can see travel become like, people are less traveling. What are some promotion that you guys do to promote travelers come to Bradenton, Sarasota?
Yeah. Tagline, unwind with peace of mind, has been our tagline for the past 6 months. And what we've seen is a lot of families drive as much as 20 hours to come to Anna Maria Island because the brand elements perceive us as safe, low rise, not, do you guys see the news, Miami Beach? You know, in South Beach, I mean, they're just packed in there like sardines. When the media calls me and says, Elliot, tell us how your spring break is going. I say, well, we don't use the two words together. Okay. Spring break is stereotyped as what you just saw in Miami. I'll tell you about our spring season. So we've actually, with our unwind with peace of mind and showcasing our brand characteristics as you can pretty much have a lot of the beach to yourself. Our visitation for 2020 was only down 10%. That's 300,000 less visitors than 2019. And our tax collection was only down 13.7%. So we did really, really well. And now we're starting to see the flight's capacity ramp up as well. So where Clearwater, once again, perceived as more of a dense area, didn't do as well. Yeah. Oh, and then one more thing, since June, twice a month, we've done surveys in the marketplace asking people, do you plan on traveling? Are you nervous about traveling? What concerns you? So we were constantly, and still today, getting a pulse of our target market, because if I put advertising in certain feeder markets prematurely and they don't want to travel, then I'm spending money unnecessarily. I can tell you this, the Brits are booking holidays for the fall right now. The Germans are not. Why is that? The vaccines are being pushed out really well in the UK. The Germans are not, because their German FDA was slower to approve the vaccines. So we're spending advertising money in the UK hard right now. We're not spending a nickel in Germany. Okay. That's the science that you need to go by when you're marketing a brand.
Thank you, Elliot. That's a really insightful answer. Okay, before we open it to the rest of the class, I guess that'd be Group A. I want to, Damla, see if there are any questions from our distant audience, our YouTube audience. Are there any questions?
No, Dr. Pat, there is no.
No questions. All right, very good. And so before we open it to the rest of the class, Elliot, I'm going to ask you, if you would, to just clarify a couple or comment on a couple of things. One of them is pretty easy, and you've done it for me before, but I think it's helpful to understand for the students on characterizing the difference between the your structure in Bradenton and for the TDC and the convention center and the one that Sarasota uses.
Yeah, great question. There's two different structures with convention and visitors bureaus. If you weren't in class listening, you probably wouldn't know what we did. If I find you on the streets and say, hey, tell me what a convention and visitors bureau does, you would say convention and stuff, not sure. So you're going to see moving forward into your careers, they're called DMOs now, destination marketing organizations. And in Florida particular, there's really two different structures. One, you're either a department of the county, which is us, okay? Or two, you're like Visit Sarasota, Visit Tampa, where you're a 501c6 nonprofit membership organization who is contracted with the government, okay? So I'll give you the difference. Me being a department of the government, I actually think it's more streamlined because I have one boss, county administrator, and I take all of my initiatives to the TDC, to the Board of County Commissioners. A membership bureau has to find members, okay? The government's going to require them to find members to generate revenues because the more members that the membership bureau generates, the more the government will give them tax monies to market the product, okay? Then the nonprofit has a board. Pat was on the board for Visit Sarasota. So there's another layer there. So the membership bureau has to, their boss is the board. And then after the board approves it, then it's got to go to their TDC for a recommendation and then to the county commissioners. And then they're on a contract as well. I'm not a contract. I'm basically a county department in perpetuity. Okay. You never say never, but I'd prefer to be in a government department, destination marketing organization, because I'm at the table with the other 12 departments around the government when they're talking about building roads, redevelopment. I can tell them, influence them of what appeals to a visitor. Hey, if you build the downtown area with museums, river walks, bike lanes, I can market and promote that and bring more people to the area to feed that new development or redevelopment, okay? Where a membership bureau isn't around the table with the government weekly basis. And then I have a seat at the Tourist Development Council where the membership bureaus do not. But it's about 50-50 across the state, nonprofits compared to government. Clearwater, St. Pete, Pinellas is a department of the government. Fort Myers is a department of the government, as well as Collier, Naples. Hope I answered that question.
Yeah,
okay.
that was excellent. And just so you all know, you remember Virginia Haley was here a few weeks ago. So does the role Elliot was just talking about for Visit Sarasota County, which is a different way of organizing. And there is another way that I've been involved with called an authority. And when I was in Stillwater, Oklahoma, I was on the Convention and Visitors Bureau board there, and it was a city managed. And then, but there were some issues. And so we as a board worked for 3 years to move it to be an authority. And if it's an authority, then you're not beholden to you're only beholden to the state who authorizes you. And we finally got it. And the city wasn't very happy, but it worked out great. And we did some good things. So.
Well, and I'll just take a step further. You always got to be careful of membership bureaus too, because if, let's just say, an organization was a gold member, you can get into special interest challenges. They could say, hey, Virginia, I'm one of your big members. Please, right. Can you do it this way or do it that way? I serve everybody because I don't have members. There's actually certain, like Visit Pittsburgh. If you're not a member, your attraction or your asset's not going to be showcased in the marketing tools. It's like, oh my gosh, I was wondering, it was like Kennywood Park in Pittsburgh. I'm like, why isn't Kennywood in your marketing materials? Well, they're not a member of ours. Oh my gosh, that compromises all the brand elements. And I'll be candid, if you can get into a government DMO department, you're in the Florida retirement system, and your hospitalization second to none. So some really good benefits that come with being a government employee as well. There's some negatives, but I think the benefits supersede the negatives.
Great insights, great insights. Okay, let's see if anybody else in the class now has a question. Anybody have something you want to ask Elliot about? Anybody up here? Okay, well, I have another one. What do you think about, we've been hearing about, and I don't mean to put you on a spot, Elliot, and if you can't answer it, we understand, but this COVID passport we've been hearing about. And they're talking about it in Europe. Italy is in so much trouble right now. Yeah. Well, as you said, Western Europe, rather. So it's the EU nations, because it wasn't just, it was Germany dragging their feet with their federal drug administration, but it was then they have to deal with the whole EU, and that's been a mess apparently in rolling out vaccines. So they're talking about it's just talk right now about a passport. I don't know if it's a COVID passport or a healthy passport or something. What's your take on that?
To me, it potentially could be almost as bad as having to get a visa to go on a trip. I think if the U.S. requires a passport, I think a certain percentage of international visitors may look at other destinations just to make it a lot easier to travel. I think the Brits are so resilient. They're so hungry. I tell you what, when that restriction is lifted, and we have BA coming in from the UK into Tampa, the floodgates will open. They will open. But I think too, Pat, I think the passport will be a short-term thing if it does happen, and then eventually it'll whittle away. But you will lose some visitors to places like Morocco or Greece. Believe it or not, Florida competes with Spain, Portugal a lot. And some of them will just take the easiest methods to enjoy their holiday. It's as simple as that, but they are important to us. They also, the Brits and the Germans, convert to real estate owners better than most domestic because of depends on the dollar exchange.
Yeah, that's a good point. Although I must say, I think the advantage we probably have here in Florida, particularly where we are now in the Central Gulf Coast region, Central and South, is the weather. I mean, Spain, my ship used to go into Mallorca, and I remember we'd get there in February. You're not laying on any beach in February in Mallorca. And here you can. So,
well, yeah. And, the Brits and the Germans really only come from and they're coming earlier every year. I'd say July 15th, coming hard in September, October, November.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And no further into middle of January. So that's the time. We in 19 Delta started in Amsterdam nonstop to Tampa, and what did that trigger? Opportunity, Scandinavia, Holland. So we went over to Amsterdam, met with tour operators, met with Delta, and we were ready to get pushing out our brand in the Scandinavian market. What would that have done for us? It would have brought Scandinavians in as early as June.
Yeah, that's right. You mentioned that time slot, which is good for us, actually.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, we're out of time, and I'm going to ask the students to open their microphones and put their hands together and give you a hand, Elliot.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was absolutely terrific. Students, before we go, just as a reminder, next week's guest speaker is going to be John Horn, who is also on our board of advisors and who also is kind of Mr. Restaurant, Bradenton for sure, and very entertaining. And then just so you know, Elliot will be joining us again on April 21st as I said, Elliot, he's kind of our informal chair of our board, our senior board person, certainly. And so he's going to be running a panel discussion on April 21st in this class. And it'll be with our board of advisors, but we're only going to have 6 board members. So we're going to rotate it among the board members. And I sent a letter to them all yesterday. I think they got it. And Elliot and I will choose the 6. He suggested maybe a lottery eventually. We'll see. And see who the 6 are. And Elliot, you're going to really love it. Elliot asks great questions, but I'm also asking all of you. And that week, I'm going to ask you to have your questions in a couple of days early, so that Elliot has time to look at them. Because what he does is he tries to incorporate your questions in broadly in what he's doing, but you'll also be able to interact with the Board of Advisors directly. So the questions will serve 2 purposes that day, and I think you'll enjoy it very much. So next week, John Horn, and then we have Elliot back on the 21st, and the following week, April 7th, is Fred Tim, owner of Real Fish Coastal Kitchen and Bar in Orlando. And he's a really interesting guy who was corporate and bought his own restaurant. So it's really cool. All right, Elliot, once again, thanks. Students, thank you all. I'm going to stay on. If any of you need to speak to me, as always, I'll be here for our classroom discussion in the hallway if you need one. Okay.
Hey, Pat.
You. Yes, Elliot. Bye-bye, everybody.
Hey, students, if you live close and you're looking for part-time work to get some experience in our office, Pat has my contact information. We are hiring people, Convention Center, Premier, Crosley. And I tell you what, the experience is invaluable. So if you're interested and the commute's simple, reach out to me and we'd love to talk to you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, students.
Thanks, Elliot. Okay. Bye-bye.